Wednesday, 1 o'clock.
No, we don't have time.
That's close, East Time.
It seems like it just didn't close. We just had to fix it.
I know, you got a gate up there.
You doing all right?
Yes, sir.
I made it. I survived. Last time I saw you, I think you were running out of here. It was after hours, and I was like, I can't talk to you. Well, no, I was sick. I had come after work at the office place, and I had been diagnosed with COVID, so I didn't want to be fine. But I was like, I don't. So that's why I was like, I didn't want to get close to it. That's why I was like, I need to tell. I meant to email you, and it just slipped my mind. And, no. I just didn't want you to get close to me. That's why I was like. Yeah, so that's what that was. I had was hoping that I wouldn't run across anybody, and that's why I came over. Yeah, and usually, I'll talk and chat with you, but I just didn't want. And I'm sorry. On my mind, I was like, when I get home, I'm gonna tell me and say, hey, what's going on?
I respect that, and I thank you.
Yeah, so I was out for a while. I was lucky. I was able to get and Houston like the very next day. And so I never did really have a call. I just got really bad. But other than that, nothing like this week. Yeah, I had left work at lunch, and when I was sitting on the test, expecting to look negative because my purse was there.
Yeah, sometimes with the special resolutions, we don't pack them for the Thursday.
I know. Grace is a great woman. Pretty impressed. She does have an excellent accent. Oh, yeah.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Feathers not done. Casino is not so
Pardon? Hopefully.
They're from the Indians.
Got a core. And doctors.
Bring the kids.
And generally population.
Bring the grandkids.
Most countries in the countries in the world, Native Americans are Hispanic. My mother-in-law is not with me.
Okay. I'll probably
She's on, they're on Briarwood.
Carl doesn't sound like a very Hispanic name.
No, it's a spoof email. And somebody else is emailing, just using my name.
Oh.
No, it's actually. Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's a Hispanic movie. You'll see. It's about a guy and Latino kids. It's a good movie.
Now we have some people that we,
Contracting?
Yeah.
that swim.
Latino kid named Clark?
You know that thing that you coach.
Oh, okay.
Somebody might have thought,
It's a feel-good
you know,
movie,
that
yeah.
we were out there with the kids doing a lemonade stand or something one day.
I don't want to feel good.
But that's the only thing I can think of. So, yeah.
We're trying to do something for the kids.
Hey man,
Have you met the
most
lady,
stuff
the
like
little
this, we divide in the
who's
community.
that Argentinian
Like
lady?
we get a bunch of emails.
Well, the lady that put it on is African American.
So,
You ain't got the joke yet, man. You ain't got the joke yet.
northeast corner.
That LBJ knows the name.
You got church on that?
And very strong will.
I didn't knock on her door.
Yes.
You know, from Arsenal.
And that's why I was asking you, did you have the service? I was off Wednesday, and I was in and it started at throwing a code saying that some kind of system charge failure or something like that. And I actually was able to.
No, those come from the Mexican meat market. We use those in her
Because I was on
what she did is, so the
and
beef
so
that's in
when I
that taco,
told it,
she braised it for 72
they
hours.
were
And
like,
that sauce
well,
for
we're
72
3
hours.
weeks back over
And she took the beef and she froze it. So she laid
and
it out
they
really
had
thin
4
on the sheet pan in the
toes
freezer.
before
And
mine.
then she got it, she cut little squares, and then she
And I
wrapped
never
the individual
look at it
quantities,
until this
and then they steamed the
And
one,
so I ended up
and
renting
then
a
put
car,
it in the
and I
soup
went
with a piece of the pork
over there at
cracker,
lunchtime
with some
because I left my
micro
bag
radish,
in my
microgreens,
And so they were a
and
little
chives,
closer to getting to
and
me.
ate that.
But
And
I
that was
still
like a dish you
And I just know if I have to buy something,
It was
I don't need to buy something else. That's what it
Looks like they're kind of.
Exactly.
Like I told these guys, it's politics. You know, some people question the validity of the land.
But the last
Thank you, Roy.
yeah, the labor repair, so like, and normally I would have like 145,000
But I
miles.
have a feeling.
And I'm just gonna get more like 300,000.
There you go.
So.
Calling the Caddo Parish Commission work session for October the 4th. Roll call, please.
Is your mic on?
I can't hear.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
It sounds like it's on, but it's just.
Oh, this mic, this screen was in the way, so I can bring it down. So, okay. Can you hear me now?
Got it. That's much better.
All right.
Okay,
I'm sure the
Commissioner
gavel came
Hopkins.
through.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Present.
Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Young. Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Cawthorn.
Present.
Commissioner Gage Watts. Commissioner Talaferra.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Atkins.
Here.
Commissioner Chavez.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Lazarus.
Here.
And Commissioner Epperson.
Yeah.
All right, we have 11 members out of 12 present. That is a quorum.
We got 10 out of 12.
Now, Stormy was back here.
Oh, okay. You can't.
And Roy is back here. They both called, yes, they're on their way out.
Okay. All right. At this time, I'll ask Commissioner Young to do the invocation and Commissioner Lazarus to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Please join me, if you wish, in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Veterans and military render proper salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioners Young and Lazarus.
Yes, sir.
Next item, Mr. Clerk.
The next item is going to be agenda additions, and I have received 2 potential agenda additions today. Do you have any additional?
I don't have any.
Okay. The 2 items that we have received, 4.1 is a potential agenda addition to authorize a special resolution of appreciation and recognition for the 2021 winners of the Prize Fest Film Prize, and that's from Commissioner Chavez. And 4.2 is a potential agenda addition authorizing a special resolution celebrating 100 years of Boy Scout Troop 15 from Commissioner Young.
Make a motion to accept both 4.1 and 4.2 of the agenda.
Second.
All right, got a motion to accept the potential of adding 4.1 and 4.2 to our agenda. We need to do a public hearing. The public hearing is now open for the addition of two agenda additions. One, resolution of appreciation and recognition of 2021 winners of the Prize Fest Film Prize, and the other one is to authorize special resolution celebrating 100 years of Boy Scout Troop 15. 15. Sorry. Seeing no one, public hearing is now closed. We'll now vote to add these to the agenda.
All right, that motion carries unanimously with 11 in support, none in opposition, and 1 absent. And that brings us to citizens' comments, where citizens who wish to address the commission on any issue other than zoning are asked to fill out a comment card located in the chamber foyer and return it to the president or clerk of commission. We do accept these online before the meeting as well. We have not received any online. And I do see one here, so comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Robert Tyler.
How you doing? My name is Robert Tyler, 17. I'm in 71103. All right. When I see white men on horseback corralling black people, it seems unseemly and reminiscent of a disturbing part of American history. Yet, there are elected officials like Ed Lazarus and Todd Hopkins who sees that and says, "That a boy." So let me educate you. Although, if you're a card-carrying member, I doubt you care. July 28, 1915, Woodrow Wilson sent the Marines to Haiti in fear Germany business relations, again I say business relations in Haiti, might reduce American commercial and the political manipulation inside of Haiti. Previously, President Andrew Johnson tried to annex Haiti, although unsuccessfully. By 1915, Americans were afraid that the debt Haiti had to pay to France as punishment for being the first to rebel against slavery tied them too closely to their former colonizers. So first, when America moved on Haiti, it moved the financial reserves to America and took it upon ourselves to rewrite their constitution to give foreigners land owning rights. The reason governments in Central America are called banana republics is because we literally did a coup to get cheaper prices on bananas. During this occupation, 15,000 Haitians were killed. And although U.S. pulled troops out in 1934, the United States exerted control over Haiti's finances until 1947. The USA even provided aid to the French colonies to stop the rebellion when they fought for their freedom. More recently, we invaded Haiti in 1994 with Bill Clinton. We returned again in 2004 with George Bush. And each time, the Haitians were worse off than before we touched their soil. So fast forward, the Haitian president was just assassinated by those reportedly with U.S. ties. They experienced a devastating earthquake. Their country is in shambles and riddled with violence, so scared and desperate that they travel miles, men, women, and children, to experience the illusion of America that is propagated throughout the world, just to realize that they won't be afforded the opportunity to legally apply for asylum. Just to realize, as in 1619, and as in 1877, and as in 1954, whether it be Democrat or Republican, America is still spelled with 3 Ks. It's the heartbreak of African descendants everywhere in this nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tyler. Having some sound problems that I've been told about, so that's what I was getting with the clerk on. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, the next item is going to be visitors, where we have one scheduled visitor today, a representative from the Shreveport Fire Department.
Come on up.
Good evening. Clarence Reese, Administrative Assistant to the Fire Chief. I thought I was here just to answer any questions, but I guess I'll be making an appeal to the Commission. So on behalf of Chief Scott Wolverton, I appreciate y'all for inviting us. I know there's some legislation before you, or maybe for ballistic vests. I'd like to let you know a little bit about that background on how these ballistic vests started, kind of let you know what we've been doing for the Shreveport Fire Department as it relates to those vests prior to getting here. So Shreveport Fire Department, right now we spec every truck with the ballistic vest for each one of those seats. So we've done some stuff on our own to secure those vests. So we've ordered 3 fire trucks here within the last 2 to 3 months. That's provided us with 12 vests. We have 3 more on order, which provides us with another 12 vests. We have 6 ambulances coming, and that'll provide 2 vests per ambulance, another 12 vests. But right now, we just don't have enough for every member, and we don't have enough in the budget for every member. And while Shreveport Fire Department is no different than any of those fire districts, we're making those same calls that the Shreveport Police Department is making, the Caddo Sheriff's Office that they're making. We've come into situations here recently where we've been on scene trying to render aids where we've been the target. We're on scenes now where gunshots are ringing out around us while police and while the Sheriff's Office are trying to control the scene. As anyone knows, Shreveport Fire Department, or anybody in EMS or the fire department, we do not enter into that scene until the police render it safe. So whereas we may be staging around a corner, staging maybe at the station, while gunshots are still ringing out, please remember that someone is still on the ground that has been attacked, that has been stabbed, shot, in that case, because we do not enter that scene until Shreveport render it, Shreveport Police Department or Caddo Sheriff's Office or any law enforcement agency renders it safe. So as we enter into these scenes now, you've seen that Caddo Sheriff's Office is short on personnel, Shreveport Police Departments, they're short on staff as well, where we may only have 2 officers, where 10 years ago we may have 10 to 12 officers there. We're now there trying to render aid while people are still upset. People, they don't want to see you save the life of someone they tried to kill. And then quite frankly, fire and EMS have become targets also. So we're asking, we really appreciate Commissioner Talaferro and anyone else who was co-sponsored this, to look at what Shreveport Fire Department, Caddo and Caddo Fire Districts are having to face day in and day out. These vests have provided a lot of comfort to a lot of those guys that have to enter these scenes. Many who've never had a fist fight in their life are now having to duck and dodge bullets while trying to render aid to others. So if I'll take any questions if you have any as it relates to those vests or the ballistic vest.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, Chairman. Not really a question as much as I just want to thank you, Clarence, Mr. Reese, now that you're down here for what you do for the community. And I know my colleagues may not know, but Mr. Reese and his daughters came out last week into our neighborhood cleanup, and he jumped in the ditches with us and was cleaning up trash. So not only is he in the streets helping put out the fires, but he's literally helping us clean them up as well. So thank you for what you guys are doing, and I for one will be helping you guys do and pass this resolution along. So thank you. Thanks, Chairman.
All right. Mr. Clerk, you on the board?
I am. I just wanted to let everybody know that in case you may or may not have heard before you came in here, but one of the two sites that we stream to is Facebook. Facebook is down globally, and so that isn't just us. That isn't just a problem with our streaming. The entire site is down right now, and we're not working correctly. So if people are interested in watching the meeting on streaming services, the best way to do that is to go to caddo.org and then go to the Media Center link at the bottom. And there they'll be able to find a link to this meeting, and it is streaming, and sound and everything is working at that link. So that should work well for everybody who's unable to get it on Facebook.com. I just wanted to mention that while y'all were having this discussion, so that everybody knew.
Commissioner Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Reese, thank you so much for coming down. As always, I like to publicly acknowledge you for your service to all mankind. I'm very grateful for what you're doing for our community. You make us better, and we really appreciate you. I'm happy to support this ordinance, and I see that we have a PDF attached where it will purchase about approximately how many of these vests? Looks like about 47, 48.
I'm not sure. Go ahead.
Commissioner, it will be enough to satisfy the needs of every fire district and every fire station within Caddo Parish.
That's awesome.
Yes, and as of right now, like I said, we didn't plan on, or we planned on purchasing vests for every seat on a fire truck, anything new that we were buying. So we will be reducing our number on vests at this time because the city has allocated money for new vehicles at this point.
Okay. That was it. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Y'all's name things are wrong, by the way, right here. It's confusing me.
Yes, thank you for your service. My question was answered by Commissioner Gage Watts.
Okay.
The number.
Commissioner Talaferro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just for clarification, these vests will not be for they'll be for individual use, but they will, correct me if I'm mistaken, they will be assigned to each unit and not for each individual, because that would be very cost prohibitive, but they're going to be assigned and ready to wear for each unit that is going to be occupied by our fire department personnel.
That is correct. That vest, that ballistic vest, as it relates to the city of Shreveport, and I'm pretty sure the Caddo fire districts will be doing the same thing. It is assigned to that seat on the truck. And right now what we're facing is we have parents calling into our office asking, hey, because they can actually buy their individual vest right now, but ballistic vests are not the cheapest, and you really don't want the cheapest. But we have parents, grandparents calling, asking, hey, how can I donate money to the fire department so that my child has a vest that they can actually take home? So that is still an option for many of our members. They can buy their own vest. We have it spec'd out to where you have to have a certain level of protection. You can't just go out and buy anything. You have to have the level of protection that the NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, recommends.
And what is the protection that we're currently getting, if you can just share with the commissioners?
Level 3A.
And which that protects us against what?
Come on now, you're gonna have to do that one.
Well, okay, so the 3A, because history shows that our EMS personnel are also susceptible to cuts with box openers and knife wounds. So this level of protection will also shield them from that, as well as certain calibers of weapons.
Correct.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. Oh, one more thing. I would like to introduce the Deputy Chief Gene Sweet of Caddo Fire District 1, if he'd like to make any comments. If not, that's fine. Okay, Gene. Wanted to give you the opportunity. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, I'm not through.
Yes, sir.
So have y'all kind of test run with these, especially in the summertime with the bunker gear on and the ballistic vest?
Yes, so Fire Chief Scott Wolverton came up with a committee, Fire Safety Committee, which was not under the direction of the safety officer for the city of for the Shreveport Fire Department. It was actually made of peers. So the people that made this committee are law enforcement. Some of us do it on the side as reserve officers, fire investigators that are doing arson investigation. They're already wearing their vest, and also military personnel that have been deployed within the last 5 years that made this committee. So we've already purchased several vests. These are all exterior vests, so you don't have to You know, if a fire comes in, it's as easy as just pulling it over your head and taking it off. The protection that's in it is lightweight. We've tested several vests through Tico Safety right here in Shreveport is actually who we're purchasing these through.
Well, I wasn't talking about as far as testing, far as the application of it. I'm talking about testing it with bunker gear on, going into a house fire, fighting it in the summertime. I mean, that's just gonna put another layer of material around you guys that's going to be already hot.
Right, so we're not using it with bunker gear at all. No, not in fires. These are strictly for EMS calls where you're not using your bunker gear. And the only time we're putting on bunker gear this time are for structural fires. So it will not be used under bunker gear unless absolutely deemed necessary.
So this is strictly for EMS, the drivers, and the one that rides with them?
Correct. Strictly for EMS, and of course, we're doing everybody in Shreveport, for Shreveport Fire Department and Caddo districts, are dispatched to EMS runs. We don't really have just fire runs.
Okay.
So, and again, 80% of what we do in the fire service now is EMS. So, I mean, it will be used.
Okay. So, if this was to pass, I would also like for us to have the Caddo logo on here, so that it's visible that it's Caddo, that's for Shreveport and also the districts. I mean, if we're gonna spend as much money, we ought to have our logo on there as we dedicated or donated it to them. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Evans.
Yeah, we can make that happen.
What has the city contributed toward this effort?
As of right now, I couldn't tell you how much with the 3 fire trucks we just ordered, that was 12 vests. They came out there approximately about $900 a piece, so we'll just say $1,000. So $12,000 this time, and then $12,000 from the 3 fire trucks we ordered previously, $24,000. And prior to even ordering the fire trucks, we already had some ballistic vests, which cost about the same. They had ceramic plates in them for active shooter incidents, and there were about 24 of those. I do not know the price on them.
Did you make an appeal to the city officials to maybe make that a budget addendum?
Yes.
Get you that adequate?
Yes, and we've
What was their response?
I couldn't hear you. What was that last part?
What was their response?
Their response,
when you asked the city, I mean, to fully fund the total need.
I don't have. I'm not sure if the city was asked to fund the full need. It's been discussed in several budget cycles, and it hasn't been approved. So I would imagine they said no, but they did put money into the budget for each fire truck, each vehicle that was going to be ordered for that ballistic vest to be added into it. So additionally, for a fire truck, there was a $4,000 added to each fire truck that we were purchasing, and $2,000 for each ambulance. But as far as funding the full project, and that's my job as of right now, is to find the money for it within our current budget.
So evidently they possibly didn't see the need.
It's a good possibility.
Total need?
To fund it at one time, it very well could be the case.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I do have one just to make point of clarification.
Yes, sir.
I'm using your line, Roy. You say that on the EMS runs, so in my mind, that's when the ambulance rolls out, or that other vehicle that y'all use, the Sprint. But you're also saying about the fire trucks. Mm-hmm. So how does the firemen on the fire trucks relate back to an EMS run?
So city
other than just being there.
Sure. So for Shreveport Fire Department, a fire truck and an ambulance, or a ladder truck and an ambulance, or a rescue truck and an ambulance roll out to every single every single EMS run. So they are attached. They're the first ones there. That fire truck is normally, it's 21 fire trucks and only 10 ambulances. So they're rendering aid prior to that ambulance even getting there for transport. So those firemen and the captain and those 2 back-end men, they're the ones that are donning that vest, and they're there at good times, approximately 10 minutes or 5 minutes before an ambulance even arrives, depending on the workload in the city of Shreveport during that day.
All right. What about the parish and the districts? Can you come answer that, if you don't mind?
Deputy Fire Chief Eugene Sweet. We do things a little bit different in the parish than we do with our brothers and sisters in the city. We have fewer manpower, so what we'll do is we'll have a medic truck respond. We also have what they would refer to as a sprint vehicle. We have a supervisor's vehicle that also responds to all EMS calls. So where they may have 6 people responding, we may have 3 people, depending on the call, which vehicles are responding. Further up north towards Oil City Mooringsport, it may be a little bit longer before they have an ambulance get on scene because they don't do their own transport, to where in Caddo Fire District 1, Blanchard area, we have our own medic units. So we have fewer personnel responding. We also have possibly a longer wait for the Sheriff's Department to show up on scene, to where we're going to be going in. Also, knock on wood, we haven't had any school shootings, but we have, I think on the way in, I was looking over 37,000 students in Caddo Parish. That's a big target-rich environment for somebody that wanted to do a lot of damage. Shreveport Fire Department, Caddo Fire Districts, we go in with the Sheriff's Department, with the police on active shooter situations. Just saw where there was a shooting in a grocery store in a Kroger's. You never know when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen, to where we have to be ready to respond quick. So it's a crazy world.
Thank you. Do we have the breakdown of how many vests were requested per Caddo district and the city of Shreveport?
I'm not sure.
Should be in the
I'm not
tax.
sure.
And the attachment is Shreveport.
I see.
Yeah,
I see.
got it.
So the one I'm looking at now, the 47, that's for all of the Caddo fire districts, I'm assuming. And then Shreveport, we're looking at 125, and you're basically saying that number could be reduced because by ordering those trucks, you got 12 vests, and then you add another 12 and another 12, so that's 36 vests that could potentially come off of this list.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. That's it. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
That's gonna bring us to old business. We have no old business scheduled today, so then we move along to new business, where the first item under new business is 8.1 to authorize the introduction of ordinance number 6096 of 2021. It's an ordinance declaring certain adjudicated properties to be surplus and to authorize the parish administrator or a designee to sell the parish of Caddo's tax interest in certain surplus adjudicated properties and otherwise provide with respect thereto. This is in District 3.
Moved by Commissioner Hopkins, seconded by Commissioner Atkins to advance this to our regular session meeting. Commissioner Hopkins, you want to speak to your motion?
No, sir.
Seeing no one, let's vote.
All right, that motion carries with 11 in support, none in opposition, and 1 absent. The next item is to authorize ordinance number 6109 of 2021. That's an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund for the year 2021 to provide an appropriation of $165,300 to provide ballistic vests for Shreveport and Caddo Parish Fire Districts and to otherwise provide with respect thereto from Commissioner Talaferro.
Moved by Commissioner Telephone. I'll take it.
It's been moved by Commissioner Talaferro and seconded by Commissioner Scumgage's wife.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Talaferro, you want to speak to your motion?
No, as the testimony of both firefighters has so stated that, you know, when firefighters go into a situation, they are what they call in a warm zone as opposed to a hot zone. And both, the reason this was brought to my attention by John Lorick, who's sitting out in the audience, is that we have a mutual aid agreement between the Shreveport Fire Department and our fire districts that when one can't make a call, the other one is shortly there behind, and or they're handling the call themselves. So I think this is a worthwhile endeavor for the safety of all of our firefighters in the entire Caddo Parish. So thank you, Mr. President.
I'd like to make a substitute motion to say up to $165,300 based on the information we heard today that Shreveport has already purchased 36 of the 125 that they requested. So that will leave them with 89 still needed. And also to put the Calumet logo, I mean, not the Calumet logo, but the Caddo logo
Okay.
on the,
Okay, we'll make sure the right one get on.
Second.
to put the Caddo logo on the ballistic
vest.
vest.
Okay.
It's two C's, you know, you can get them confused.
Yeah.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Gage White. Any questions on that? So we'll vote on the substitute motion first, and if it fails, we go to the regular motion.
We ready?
We vote on the substitute motion, Commissioner Cardone.
Okay, what's the substitute motion?
Up to 165,300, and to put the Caddo logo on. Since the report we got, Shreveport has purchased 36.
Okay.
So this is reducing that need down to 89.
That motion carries with 10 in support, 1 in opposition, and 1 absent. So that will advance. And the next item is to authorize the introduction of ordinance number 6111 of 2021. It's an ordinance to amend and reenact Article 2 of Chapter 19 of the Code of Ordinances relative to housing and economic development, to provide additional requirements for applicants and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move to advance to Thursday.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Epperson, seconded by Commissioner Talaferro, to advance to our next regular session. Commissioner Epperson, you want to speak to your motion?
No, sir.
Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have a problem with this. I just was seeking greater understanding. Ms. Frazier, can you, I reviewed the document and saw some underlined material, but I'm not sure what's going on here.
Commissioner, I'll defer to Mr. Bernstein on it.
Okay, is he here?
And your question, Commissioner?
I'm trying to understand the amendments that are required, or that are being requested regarding
Yes.
the housing and economic development.
The
ordinance.
City Office of Community Development, which the prior requirement was that there be a letter of approval from them, and the City Office of Community Development had asked that that be changed to a letter of support from them rather than approval. I think they were concerned about giving approval to something as opposed to simply supporting it. And then the other item was that Commissioner Jackson wanted to make sure that somebody that was coming to the parish asking for the parish to donate them property did not have property standards violations that were currently in existence. So just tightening up the requirements.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that pretty much clarified my question. I was trying to find out exactly what was, what problem we actually had and who brought it. But it's mine. I'm seeing that Mr. Bernstein is saying that the city did bring an issue, and secondly, Commissioner Jackson stipulated that the applicant could not have a property violation. So I'm good with that. So thank you.
Commissioner Chavez.
I'll yield, Chairman. They answered my questions.
Okay. Let's vote.
And that motion carries with 11 in support, none in opposition, and 1 absent. And that brings us to authorizing authorizing the introduction of ordinance number 6116 of 2021. It's an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the health tax fund for the year 2021 to provide an appropriation of $54,000 to purchase drones to distribute larvicides and adulticides to help
Move to
combat the
advance.
mosquito
Second.
population and to
Second.
otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Been moved by the chair, seconded by Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Chavez, you on the board?
That was from the last one.
All right. Seeing no one on the board?
I got a quick question.
Okay, Commissioner Telephone.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Just for clarification, I know that in the verbiage, it says to purchase drones, and I cannot remember from the last conversation the price of each drone, or we're just talking about one drone of $54,000.
It's just one.
I think it was just one, is that correct?
One.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
Somehow we must have been so happy to get back in here, we mixed up so many tasks.
Okay, let's vote.
My legs are different. I had some nice hair for a minute.
That motion carries with 11 in support, none in opposition, and 1 absent. And that brings us to the next item, resolution number 66 of 2021. It's a resolution to support the state of Louisiana relocating the state building on Fairfield Avenue to downtown Shreveport and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Advance for Thursday.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Epperson, seconded by Commissioner Hopkins. Commissioner Epperson, you want to speak to your motion?
No, sir, I think.
All
Any
right.
questions Mr. Jackson can clarify it up on Thursday?
Okay. Seeing no one on the board, let's vote.
That motion carries with 11 in support, none in opposition, and 1 absent. And just as an aside, we have had some people who have written in to ask about the sound on the streaming. So when somebody is calling up that media center for the first time, the default on it may be mute. So just unmute it. The sound is working and it is streaming, but we have had some people comment that they don't hear the sound right away. So if you do have a constituent who may ask you about that, just have them to unmute it. It just looks like it's coming up as a default mute.
All right, next item.
Okay, next item is going to be authorized resolution number 67 of 2021. It's a resolution establishing a community-based broadband committee of the Caddo Parish Commission to make recommendations for increasing broadband access in Caddo Parish and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
Motion to move to Thursday.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Burrell, seconded by Commissioner Chavez to move resolution 67 of 2021 to Thursday. Commissioner Burrell, you want to speak to your motion?
Just a couple of things to make sure that we understand what this is actually doing. This resolution is to help us from the standpoint of the Parish Commission to have our own committee assessing the comprehensive broadband needs of Caddo Parish and how they'll be addressed. As you know, we received money from the American Rescue Plan to expand our broadband accessibility in the parish. It also to assess the contribution by each government body, which also include Caddo Parish School Board and the City of Shreveport, and also the private sector in this endeavor. We also will look to help determine and develop a comprehensive plan of facility deployment to serve the broadband needs of Caddo Parish. Also in this resolution, I expanded it. At first, it only had the 3 government bodies, but I felt that it was important that we get expertise involved. So we expanded it to a membership of up to 12. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I've also been doing some kind of research in some of the parishes. The police jury is taking the lead, or the county commission is taking the lead on this. And then there are some private companies that are trying to get involved. So I don't know who is to be the right person to get the locals together first and then reach out to some of the private entities that want to come in and do the broadband, because it's just like, I guess, years ago when I was a little smaller and cable came in, and for my time, pretty much, that cable came in and you had the private companies coming in saying that they want to put cable in certain areas. So I think this is going to be some of the same way that it's going to be set up. So We just need to be prepared and open to private and public dollars to be involved in this.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Burrell.
For the benefit of the commission, we've already commenced dialogue with the Greater Chamber of Commerce. It's a larger umbrella type organization that is brought in certain entities. But being involved in that group, and also Woody is involved, and our IT person is involved in that group, I noticed that the school board had its own entity. The city had its own group studying what would be required for the city. And as I said, also with the school board, I felt that we should have ours, because if you look at this initiative, the city has the greatest majority, has the majority of residents in the parish. And it has a little different need than the parish itself. The school board has educational needs, and much of the funding that it gets is strictly toward education. So the parish, I look at it as kind of an overlay of it all. And I think that we need to have a committee to address those issues that those two don't take care of, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I mean, I don't totally disagree with what you're saying. I'm just saying that there are some private entities that we need to start having dialogue with in order to ease the burden on the public dollars, because just like you said, the city is going to focus within the city limits. The school board is going to focus around the schools within the parish. And so you still have a gap with some areas that are away from schools, and maybe the city runs out of money, then, you know, the need will then come to looking at us to fill the gap.
We're going to be bringing those in, and we've already identified some private entities that will be making proposals, actually.
Let's vote.
Okay, that motion carries with 11 in support, none in opposition, and 1 absent. And then that brings us to the authorization of resolution number 71 of 2021, which is a resolution in support of resuming federal offshore leasing in the Gulf of Mexico, from Commissioner Hopkins.
So moved.
Been moved by Commissioner Hopkins. Second by Commissioner Lazarus to advance resolution 71 of 2021. Commissioner Hopkins, you want to speak to your motion?
Yeah, I received word from former Lieutenant Governor Scott Angel requesting the different parishes support this resolution. I know we're one. I know St. Tammany and Tangipahoa, Vernon, and other parishes have supported this, so that's why it's added to the agenda for support.
Commissioner Cawthorn.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Hopkins, so I was reading this before coming to the meeting a couple of days ago. So I want to get your appreciation and understanding of what is currently going on. It is my understanding that the executive branch of government, Biden administration, has put a moratorium on federal leasing of contracts in the Gulf of Mexico. It was done by an executive order, correct?
Correct.
And so our resolution would be a support for Congress to vote on overturning what the administration has done.
That's correct. It would be a resolution from all the parishes asking Congress to overturn that.
Okay, and so second deal is also my understanding that the reason they put the moratorium on there is for environmental purposes in terms of the Biden administration overarching themes of coastal restoration, damage to the planet, that sort of thing.
That's maybe what they say, yes.
That's maybe what they say. All right. And so what is the direct impact of all the counties that parishes that were listed, that if this overturned, how does that directly impact North Louisiana?
Well, what it would do, it would get them back to drilling offshore, which would bring money into the state of Louisiana, which therefore would be available for CDBG grants, different things like that. It would just be a help to the coastal parishes and the state as a whole.
So we don't necessarily know if the money is recouped, that it's going to the other things that you. Right, but that can be challenging. All right, thank you very much, Mr.
Yes,
President.
Commissioner Epperson.
It appears to me as though we are dipping into a federal situation, which I hear quite often, that some of the things isn't under our purview, and this is one. I think we have more pressing issues relative to the Gulf, based upon the number of catastrophic hurricanes that we've encountered the last decade or so. The barriers are torn down, the levees are destroyed, and there are leaks in the Gulf right now which they cannot find where they are coming from, which is going to greatly impact our environment further as it goes to our fishing and those other industries which has been affected. So I don't think there's anything that we need to be involved with at this particular time. If anything, we need to focus on wind and electrical grids to come into play. So I'll be voting against this, and just got several texts from some of my constituents to urge me to do the same. Thank you.
Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to say, with respect to Commissioner Hopkins, who is a friend of mine, that I sometimes vote against things because they don't seem to have a clear connection to Caddo Parish business, and that's the course that I'm going to take on this as well. Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Burrell.
Mr. Chairman, I only have one question. I wanted to know if Commissioner Hopkins know what the governor's position is, since he is executive officer of the state. Does he know what his position is on this initiative?
I cannot say with 100%, but I believe I heard that he, along with other governors that were affected on the coastal drilling, had filed suit, but I won't swear to that at this moment.
Does anybody know, Mr. Chairman?
I'm just not sure. Yeah.
I don't think no one knows Commissioner Burrell, but we can see if someone can find out before Thursday.
Woody, could you find that out for us?
Is there pending lawsuits against this legislation?
No. What's the governor's position on these parishes promoting this resolution? Well, I would say this resolution.
Okay. I'm trying to find out.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. Commissioner Burrell, I can't state with certainty, but I did think that the governor was asking for some relief of the moratorium on the offshore. Maybe Jeff has something there for us. But and to respect what Commissioner Epperson was saying about this being more not directly related to Caddo, it certainly is a state issue, and I think in the sense that the parish benefits when the state benefits, I do think it does impact Caddo Parish. But I respect Commissioner Epperson's point that sometimes we stretch a bit on our agenda and get away from things that are directly tied to Caddo. So I would be happy to agree to never put anything on our agenda that doesn't deal directly with Caddo. But I'm not sure that my colleagues will agree to that. I think that the state of Louisiana benefits greatly when there is offshore activity in the Louisiana continental waters through our royalty ownership in those waters, the state's royalty ownership in our waters. So I'll be supporting this initiative. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Okay. Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. I would love to see that resolution come on, that we just focus on Caddo Parish. So I'll be supporting that if it comes on the agenda. But to address the questions about our governor's take on this. I'm looking online from May 5th, where Governor John Bel Edwards will testify Thursday before the U.S. Senate on the adverse impact that a protracted moratorium on the mineral lease in the Gulf of Mexico will have on Louisiana's economy. And it states, and I quote, John Bell said, an abrupt and prolonged major reduction to the federal offshore oil and gas exploration and production would devastate Louisiana's economy. But our state absolutely cannot turn a blind eye to the ways that climate change and the sea level rise threaten Louisiana, Edwards said in a statement. So it seems like he's acknowledging both the climate issues and then the fact that the moratorium would devastate our economy. So I'll send it over to Dr. Wilson so he can send it to us by Thursday. That's all, Chairman.
Commissioner Teleferro.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I agree with my colleagues regarding let's stay in our own lane and stay focused on things that impact Caddo, which is why I will be voting yes, because according to the Louisiana Gas Association, you know, we employ, the offshore employs approximately 240,000 workers in Louisiana, from Louisiana, at a tune of approximately $95 million. So I can honestly say I pretty much know a few offshore oil workers, you know, put in the hard hours going in and out, and I think it directly impacts Caddo Parish as a whole as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Let's see, have you spoken, Commissioner Burrell?
I have, but I do have mine.
Commissioner Epperson.
I agree with Brother Atkins there, but one option, we have two options. Whatever what you want on this agenda, you have two options. Either vote for it or against it, in majority rules. Plain and simple. Thank you.
Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The clerk just showed me where our governor did support lifting the moratorium. That's the reason I was a little confused, because if the governor was for it, I'm just kind of surprised that others would be against it. I mean, would be for it if he was for it. So it was just kind of a mixed message there. But at the same time, I do understand from the news report that he is supporting lifting the moratorium. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was just reading that a U.S. judge had ordered resumption in federal drilling that was set back by Biden in June. Are you aware of that, Attorney Frazier?
I just read it too.
Okay. So it seems that this resolution would actually be in agreement with what the judge has already ruled here in Louisiana. So with that being said, and with our governor on board, I'm assuming that this is something that I will pass to Thursday until we get some more information.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So I guess I was waiting to say it last, but this does impact Caddo. It also impacts Bossier and also Webster. You do have a oil refinery that's in Caddo Parish, and whether you believe it or not, whether that plant runs or not, it impacts everybody in Caddo Parish at the gas pumps. It affects you in a lot of different ways. So I'll be supporting this. Just let you know that this does impact Caddo by the price of crude oil. That impacts all refineries across the United States.
Calumet too.
All refineries. So
just asking.
Yeah, I'm just being honest that it affects all refineries, which also affects the employees of the refineries, which helps stimulate the economy. During COVID, most refineries did not shut down; they kept running, and that's why you didn't have high cost of gas prices, diesel prices during the COVID pandemic. Commissioner Carthon.
Oh yeah, very briefly. Thank you, Mr. President. So is this resolution going to be directed to our federal people, local representative Mike Johnson, Cassidy, and Kennedy? Mr. Hopkins?
I believe that's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. It lists everybody, president on down. Let's vote.
All right, and that motion carries with 8 in support, 3 in opposition, and 1 absent. And that brings us to the next item, just to authorize appointment to the Juvenile Justice Citizens Advisory Committee.
Move Thursday.
Second.
And Commissioner Hopkins, did you have a?
I'll just do it.
Okay.
You gonna change something?
Yes, sir. I'd like to make an amendment and add Heather Courtney in place of Stephen Jackson for District 3.
Second.
And I have talked to Mr. Jackson, so.
Okay.
It's not a blind side or anything.
Okay.
I have talked to him.
Does she have, we got a resume on?
Yes. You'll be getting it.
I've received it.
Okay, all right. So we have a substitute motion of amendment to the motion to replace Stephen Jackson with
Heather Courtney.
Heather Courtney for District 3, and Ryan Williams will stay for District 10. You want to say anything else, Commissioner Hopkins?
No, sir.
So that was moved by Commissioner Hopkins, seconded by,
Second.
I heard somebody.
I heard somebody on this side.
It was
Commissioner Lazarus. All right, seeing no one, let's vote.
I was on the board.
Oh, you will?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
I just, thank you, Mr. President. I don't know why I wasn't on there, but I was on the board.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Hopkins. That was going to be my motion, was to remove Commissioner Jackson forward, and I just wanted to elaborate on why the actual advisory council was established is for our local citizens. And our intentions are to increase the level of trust and cooperation, to be able to listen to the voices of our citizens. These are the people who are directly impacted by this crisis. It's to help us to stop assuming what these challenges are and what they want to say to us, giving them the opportunity to speak directly to us through this community, through this committee. These citizens will give us an official report back to our Juvenile Justice Committee about needs for additional pods, policies, and procedures, intervention strategies, to name a few, everything that we voted on when we established the resolution to move forward. The council will work closely with our subcommittee to develop and or improve a plan to present to our community. The whole idea is to keep the community engaged through collaboration, coordination, and a commitment to stay connected to our juvenile justice system. We are already elected among this body, and we are already serving in this capacity. We should also always carefully consider the perception of a conflict of interest. So for that purpose would be my reason for removing him from that appointment. So I know that over 200,000 constituency between the 12 of us, that we are all capable of finding at least one person to serve on this board. Thank you.
Seeing no one else?
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, so, okay.
I just had a question. Point of information, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Just my own edification. Is there really a conflict of interest with a commissioner being on there, or it's just the perception that's there? I mean, I wanted to know that just for edification.
The title says Citizens Advisory Committee. I mean.
Well, he's a citizen.
Yeah, he's also an elected official. We all elected officials. So,
I'm not supporting it one way or the other. I'm trying to get a clarification.
Citizens Advisory Committee is opposed to the public, and the elected officials, I mean, they will report to us, and any recommendations they come up with, we will have to vote on it. So, you know.
Would that be a conflict?
But you would
that be considered a conflict?
You can sit in the meeting without being on the committee. That just eliminates a seat that someone of the citizen body could sit on. That's all.
Mr. Chairman, I understand that. I just wanted to be clear on future committees, whether or not an elected official of the body, would it be considered a conflict or just a perception, public perception is what I'm asking.
Nothing else is perception.
You've been politicking longer than I have, and so I would defer that back to you.
Okay, if you're gonna defer it back to me, it would not necessarily, it would be a perception problem.
Okay.
And that's what I stated,
That's what she
a
said.
perception.
Yeah, but I heard the word conflict.
I said
And that's a little
perception
different.
of conflict of interest.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Let's see, Commissioner Carter?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Technically, Mr. Jackson is a citizen of the city, parish, state, and these lovely United States of America. Unfortunately, he's not here today, but I would love to hear his explanation for nominating himself.
Yeah, I
You
would
know,
too.
personally, I think Mr. Jackson has a excellent skill set, but I think he should find someone in District 3 to represent his interests. So I don't know if it's a conflict of interest or not, but when we afford the opportunity to give this to the citizens, that's how you get people involved. So I would admonish him and encourage him to find a citizen. You know, we appreciate Mr. Jackson. He's a sharp young man, but I think he can find someone in District 3 to serve,
When we made
to
the
do this
substitute
task force.
motion? There's an amendment to the motion.
That's an amendment to the motion?
Yeah, that's an amendment to the motion.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Evans?
I just want to state that anything that the Citizen Advisory Committee recommends will have to come to the full body, either exception, rejection, or amendments. Also, it's Mr. Jackson's right, as well as each one of us here, to attend any of the committee meetings and have an opportunity to have input, which I think, I believe Mr. McCormick came to the MPC thing today and put his spiel out, whatever his perception he wanted to spin to the citizens. So we have a right to do the same thing, but ultimately everything comes back to us to either accept, reject, or amend. And if we want to make sure of clarification where we don't have to get stuck in the rut again, let's ask for an opinion from the Ethics Board relative to this situation. Therefore, we don't have to go through this anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Evans. Commissioner Gage-White?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to close by saying we all are entitled to that right to serve in that capacity and to be able to go to any board meeting, subcommittee, or any appointed boards that we have amongst Caddo Parish citizens. Thank you.
All right.
Oh, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I just got a message that said that there was a different person who was recommended out of District 3. I guess I could address this to Mr. Hopkins. He said that he had spoken with Commissioner Jackson, and this message is from him. He said it was a different person. Are you aware of that?
I didn't hear the last part, I'm sorry.
I say, are you aware that Mr. Jackson said that there was a different person that undoubtedly than the one that you mentioned? Are you aware of that? I know that you were supporting him, supporting,
Right.
Trying to make this change. I assume that you did it based upon your conversation with him.
I did.
And so it sounds like he's changed again.
No, nothing's changed. Can I answer him, sir?
I wish we can go ahead and
Okay,
vote,
we'll
and then
just
if
go
it's a
ahead.
change on Thursday, we
Okay.
can change it, since he's not here. If that's not the name he wants.
I was just bringing it up, Mr. Chairman.
The person is to handle.
So it's mute to talk. So let's vote.
So we're voting on the substitute motion?
Vote on the amendment to change Stephen Jackson out to Heather.
Courtney.
Who?
Heather Courtney.
Heather Courtney.
Courtney, yes.
And that motion carries with 11 in support, none in opposition, and 1 absent. I'm sorry. The next item is going to be to authorize the appointment to the Ward 2 Industrial Park. And this is to authorize the appointment of Philip Ewald to replace the unexpired term of Mr. Jimmy Woods.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Hopkins, seconded by Commissioner Carthon. Commissioner Hopkins, you want to speak to your motion?
This is, we had Mr. Jimmy Woods that resigned from the board, and Mr. Philip Ewald would like to serve. I think it's important that we keep this board full, and for any votes that may be coming up or happening in the future. So I think Mr. Ewald would do a good job. Thank you.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. I just want to make sure via parliamentary procedure that our previous motion was to, after the substitute motion, also advance both names to Thursday. I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, that was part of the amended motion.
Okay.
That's automatic, isn't it? Everything we do today goes to Thursday?
Yeah, but he was saying about, and I mentioned that when I made the amended motion.
The clerk didn't state the entire that we voted on.
Oh, okay.
I just want to make sure that that's added to go to Thursday.
Yeah.
Thank you,
it
President.
was. In my repeating of the motion, it was. I'd like to make a substitute motion to englobo 8.9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
Second.
Been moved by the chair to englobo in advance all of the
Did you want
special-
23 as well? 23 is the Boy Scouts.
Oh, and 23 and 24.
Great.
Second.
Second.
And that's englobo all of the special resolutions along with the authorized the appointment for Ward 2.
Except for, Mr. President, if you would remove the Alzheimer's awareness, that's for November. Just gonna reserve that one to November.
Okay, so we're gonna remove the Alzheimer's awareness.
Alzheimer's.
So we're gonna remove number 20 and keep all the rest on the englobo. Commissioner Young. All right, let's vote.
All right, that motion carries with 11 in support, none in opposition, and 1 absent. And that brings us to communiques and committee reports, where the first item, commission remarks, we do have an administrator's report attached.
Okay, good afternoon, Commissioners. We just have 2 items today. I'd like to give you all an update on the ERAP program, and for that end, I'd like Ms. Haley Barnett to give us an overview of where we currently are with the program. So,
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
is your mic on here?
Is it on? I don't know.
It's on. It's on. Speaking to it. It's on. Turn it off.
They can hear. Turned it off.
It's on.
Is it on? I can talk real loud anyway, so. Currently, we have over 8,500 applications. We have helped over 5,000 families. We have distributed over $16 million in rents. Today, we've received an additional direct allocation of $4.1 million from Treasury for additional rents. Last week, we also signed an agreement with the state to receive a reallocation of $6.5 million in ERAP. With those 2 additional distributions, by end of year, we will have distributed over $25 million in ERAP funds. I also received a communication today from the Treasury that they want to reallocate ERAP funds throughout the state, throughout the United States that haven't currently been distributed. The message I received is any county government that has not distributed 65% or more of their ERAP funds have to issue a performance improvement plan to the Treasury. If that doesn't happen, they have to return those funds. At that time, they will reallocate those funds to programs such as ours, who have been successful in distribution of the funds. Just for clarity, we have distributed 100% of our ERAP 1 distribution, our first ERAP 2 distribution, plus a little over $7 million of allocations from ERAP 1 from the state. So we have more than surpassed expectations from the Treasury as it relates to our program, and therefore they reach out to us for additional reallocations of funds. So when we first started this, Dr. Wilson reminded me that we thought we would be pressed to even send out $15 million that we were expected to receive by end of the year, but we will have surpassed that greatly with the program that we have. So I just wanted to give everybody an update. Thanks, Dr. Wilson, for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Haley. And Haley and I had a conversation going today. We're talking about the $25 million on the impact of our local economy will be felt as well. And a lot of that money went to utility companies as well as landlords that will be able to make payroll for maintenance personnel at those complexes that people reside. So it has a tremendous impact on our local economy, putting $25 million back and helping people that really need the help. So we are extremely proud of the efforts in this program, and prayerfully we will continue to get money to maximize our efforts to be able to help others within our community. Commissioner Johnson, you had a question for me, sir?
Well, I think Commissioner Carter on first, and then I do.
Relative to the subject.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that was for communiques.
Okay.
Not for the press. I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay, I have two other items I need to finish.
I do have one for this one.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Haley, all that you just said, can we get that in writing and sent to us?
Sure. I'll
right.
send it something in the morning.
Okay. And do we have a waiting list, or are we just processing them as they come in now?
No, sir, we currently do not have a wait list. Every name that's in the application processor gets pulled every Wednesday. So we are no longer have a pipeline full of applicants.
Okay.
But we are still accepting applications and encourage all those citizens that are in need to apply.
So most of the problems I'm hearing now is between the tenant and the landlord, or they hadn't submit all the paperwork yet. Okay, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's what's taking the time now, is just paperwork and needed documents.
Okay, and then I see some more commissioners popped on. Commissioner Young, you got a question about this?
I actually had a question about a different part of the administration report, so I can
We'll
wait.
do that later. Commissioner Burrell, you got a question about this?
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask, Haley, for those payments that have been made up until, say, last month, for those who still have not paid their rent, is there an extension program?
So I'm not sure I understand your question. Extension, if they've received their funds from the program, I guess I'm not following.
Well, there are those who received their funds, say up until August. So we're in September, and we'll soon be, well, I say to July. And the renters are still in the property. Should they be looking at evicting them, or is there an extension program where they could go back and extend it to renters? That question was asked to me, and I don't know.
Every instance would be different, so it would be helpful if I had the tenant name, but the program right now only allows 15 months. So if they've received 15 months, there is no more additional help for them at this time.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Dr. Wilson, you can continue.
Yes, sir. We also, the statistics on the detention center, we have 18 children in detention. We have 3 17-year-olds, and over at CCC we have 11, and it's up from 8 because of the nature of the crimes they committed. The result of them being held at CCC. Also, I'd like to inform you all that, are you familiar with Best Friends? There's an organization that we use to help us make sure we are meeting industry standards within animal services area. We had Mr. Calvin Samuels, Assistant Director, completed the Best Friends Society National Executive Leadership Program this past year, and he successfully completed that, and we are proud of his accomplishment. So we're trying to stay engaged on the top industry practices, and we're having our people participate directly And by the way, this was a free tuition paid grant that he received because of our association with the Best Friends Society organization. That completes my report today. Unless anyone have any questions for me, I'll be glad to answer it for you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was asked recently by some constituents, and I wanted to check with the administration about the RFP for the work to be done on the monument at the courthouse. Is there a date when the RFP expires? Do we have an update on that?
On what, sir? About the courthouse?
The monument.
There's no expiration on it. It's a capital project. We have 3 years to get it done.
So the RFP lasts 3 years?
Yes, sir. The RFP process does not have an end date to it.
I see.
But it's a capital project, so we have 3 years to get the project completed. So we have gotten some estimates for it. We are trying to make sure we have paid the lowest price for the work, and we have gotten a lower price other than the ones we got prior that was just outrageous. So we had that in our capital plans for next year to complete that process, and we're moving forward with it.
Are those numbers in the budget?
Yes, sir. We actually got a infusion of $500,000 on the first allocation that passed by this board. And as a capital project, typically projects are estimates. We don't know what the actual cost is until we go out and get engineers and companies to look at it, and then they give us a price that we can work with. So I did put in $300,000 in the budget for next year to cover that cost of the project at the lowest received bid.
I see. So we got a bid for around 800.
A little less under 800,000. Yes, sir.
I see. Thank you.
Okay.
That's all.
Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While Woody is giving the report, Woody, could you give us an update on that Fairway Drive area problem that we've had in Precinct 30 over there off of Curtis Lane and Lake Shore, dealing with the...
Yeah, and Commissioner Burrell, I'm having problems hearing you, sir. I do apologize. Maybe it's me, but I can't hear very well while I'm sitting
Testing, testing. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. I was asking you if you could give us an update on the problem situation that they're having over there at the old Shreveport Golf Course.
Yes, sir.
For the public.
Yes, sir.
And where they've been having coyotes attacking animals and going into people's backyards. I noticed that they started to clear that out. And I know the cities said that they were going to work toward trying to get that done, but could you kind of give us an update on that?
Yes, sir. The latest I have, Commissioner Burrell, I did receive a letter last week from the International Circle, the Winners Circle International is the agency that owned the property, and they told us in a letter that they have commenced repairing the fence and removing some of the down trees around the property, and they hope to have that done in short order. And then when that's get done, they said they will send me another letter informing me of the completion of the project. And I believe I copy you as well, sent you a copy of what I received from the Winners Circle International.
Are they still trapping the coyotes?
Yes, sir. I need to find out whether or not we talk about the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife.
I don't know.
Because they will be the ones that's tracking it. But actually, let me retract that, because the Winners Circle folks did hire a special tracker for that, and Calvin was working with them on that.
Like Calvin got a report on that.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So the latest report on that, Commissioner Burrell, they are still trapping. I'm overseeing it. They have a trapper, Mr. Quentin Light, is actually, I think we've gotten like 3 so far. So it's a continuous process. So the traps are continuous until we can kind of basically clear out what we think is still out there for us coyotes.
Do y'all have an estimate of how many out there? Because what I'm hearing is plenty of them.
That's what they're saying. A lot of neighbors in that local area are saying they're spotting a lot on their cams, but they're going to continue to trap until, I guess, the food source is gone, because as long as there's a food source, you'll have, of course, wildlife in that particular area. There's a creek there, there's trees, plenty of squirrels, rabbits. So until they cut that down and there's nothing for the wildlife to hide, so the coyotes will either move out or we'll trap them all, or at least the majority.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Attorney Frazier,
I was trying to remove that.
you trying to remove it?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Wilson, are you finished with your report?
Yes, sir, I'm finished.
All right, we move to communicate. Any commissioner got any to communicate? I think Commissioner Carton, you was on at one time.
Okay.
And then I'll get you since you was already on, and I kick you off, and then I go to Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to report that we had a Economic Development Committee meeting on last Friday. 2 items on the agenda, and want to update the body with the recommendations and motions made. The first item that we took up for consideration was a company located here in the parish. Justin Dixon of NLEP came and gave us an overview of what the company, because it's still a private project, you can't give details. So he let us know there's a company coming here. We'll provide 632 jobs, average annual salary $50K per employee, $1 billion investment over a 12-year period of time. The ask from the company for infrastructure from us is $3.8 billion. I'm sorry, $3.8 million, and there's been an ask from the state also, and I think the city of Shreveport. So we offered a motion that was put forth and voted unanimously to support the $3.8 million for infrastructure.
Commissioner Cawthon, can I make an important little?
Yes, sir.
You
Go
said a company is coming here. I think you meant to say a company is considering coming.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, Commissioner Stoughton Gates Washington, they're speaking those things that's not endorsed for their work.
Well, say that, sir.
All right, our next agenda item is continued discussion on the Amazon TIF that's housed in Commissioner Jackson's district. And we didn't make a motion, but we made a recommendation so that we can all have clarification on what the pros and cons of this TIF, and that it will be successful, that it can be successful. We made a recommendation to our administration to convene a meeting with the city council, with their representative from finance and legal, Caddo Parish Schools representative of finance, their representative of legal, the commission's finance and legal department will be there, and 2 other people were requested to be there. Drew Mouton of Economic Development for the city of Shreveport, and I made a recommendation for David Wolf, who's our resident expert on putting together tips, that he be available. And Dr. Wilson is going to convene that meeting, and then whatever happens.
We're working on it right now, Commissioner Cawthon.
Okay.
We're trying to set a Zoom meeting up for this Wednesday.
Okay.
Anita's working, trying to contact everybody to let them know if they're about the meeting, whether they're available or not.
Okay.
So we try to move out quick as we can.
All right. And that was our recommendation, and it also was voted unanimously. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. Commissioners who are on the Juvenile Justice Committee, I think Clerk Everson sent out communication about a meeting that we're trying to hold this Thursday. We need a consensus of a time, 11:30 a.m. or 2:30 p.m. So I just want you to make sure that you check your email so that we can confirm the time for the meeting. Also, on tomorrow, beginning at 6 p.m., District 7, you are invited to come out with the entire Caddo. We kind of collaborating here, I should say. Kind of back up to District 5 and District, what's your district?
6.
6 also. We'll be out there. It's several of us who will be out at the Winfield Funeral Home parking lot at 3701 Hollywood. Beginning at 6 p.m., we're going to have free COVID testing and free COVID vaccines from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Lots of food, fun, and entertainment, sponsored by Calumet and Winfield Funeral Home. So please come out and join us tomorrow at 6 p.m. And we will be practicing all of the safety protocols. Masks will be strictly enforced, and we'll have individual areas for our families as well as those vendors in attendance. Thank you.
Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is just an observation. I'm not sure who's cleaning these glasses, but either they're trying to make them opaque where you can't see through them, or they're just doing a terrible job in cleaning. So I would like for somebody to consider it to either clean them or something.
That's the
Thank you, Mr.
cleaning
Chairman.
stuff, Dr. Wilson. That's the cleaning material.
Ms. Chavez.
Thank you, Chairman. This is communicated, right?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Wilson, I see you looking confused. It looks like first somebody sprayed everything but didn't come back and wipe it, is
Yes,
what it
sir.
looks like. Even our keyboards are pretty sprayed down. But wanted to give everybody a heads up, tomorrow's National Night Out. I don't know how many commissioners have different locations within their districts. You guys are welcome to come out to one that we're going to have in Southern Hills. We're going to do it at the Summer Grove Baptist Church parking lot in conjunction with the Discount Jewelry and Loan on Mackey Street. We're going to have a dunk tank booth, so if anybody wants to come swim, we can put them on there and raise some money for a local charity. We're going to have Red Oak Barbecue doing free hamburgers and hot dogs. We're going to have a jump booth for the kids, face painting, a DJ, and an open mic night. So for anybody that thinks they can sing, you guys can come on out. Also wanted to let you guys know it's Hispanic Heritage Month this month. It's over on the 15th. LSUS is going to host a free drive-in movie theater celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. They're going to play the Disney movie McFarlane USA, which is pretty cool. It's going to be October the 9th at gates open at 6 p.m. The movie starts at 6:45. They're going to have a food truck there. They're going to have a dessert food truck, and our own Poetic X is going to come out and give us a poem in regards to Hispanic Heritage Month. So I'd love to see any commissioners there. In conjunction, I brought tacos for everybody. They're in the back if you guys hadn't had a chance to get them. And I brought you guys some real pork rinds, which are chicharrones, about the size of a half of a pig. They're back there too. You guys are welcome to partake. But I look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow and throughout the neighborhood all over Caddo Parish. Thank you, President.
Okay. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
That's going to bring us to the President's report.
Just to also mention National Night Out. National Night Out will kick off in Shreveport in District 2 at Mamie Young's in University Park. That's the kickoff for this year's National Night Out. Inviting people out to that. I will be at the one at Winfield because I'll be working for Calumet in that district area. I was also going to mention about these petitions between us. They are very cloudy. The ones in the front are good, but the ones on the side very cloudy. Yeah. It's spray. Somebody sprayed and then wiped.
Part of the efforts to keep down bacteria, there's a spray that we are using. We're trying to find a different type of spray so that it doesn't have a glare to it.
Well, I'm saying that they can spray, but after they spray and let it dry, they can come wipe it down.
Wipe it down.
You say you can't wipe it down.
You're not
Well,
supposed
they're
to.
not spraying the front then.
Not use it.
Okay, I got you.
They're not spraying the front, so that's just as bad.
Yeah.
But, you know, we try to take all the precautions that we know humanly possible to convene back in here. And, you know, people comment about us being out all the time. Well, we're looking out for us to make sure that we're safe.
Right.
We're elected officials. We go and be invited to many different places. And in meeting so, we also want to make sure that we're safe and we also keep the public safe. And we did put in a lot of plexiglass, and that reason was to make sure that we're safe and we keep the public safe as well. The capacity has changed within here. I think it's now about 30, 35, some number like that, as far as seating in the audience. And, you know, we're doing this. You can't pay us enough to do what we actually do when we do it right. And to make sure that we're representing the people that we are elected to represent, we want to make sure that at the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, that we stay healthy and we're able to serve the people that has elected us to office. And so if by chance that, you know, come November, and they say that the numbers are going back up again, guess what? We're gonna go back to Zoom without a problem. And there will be a space in there to make sure that if anybody that didn't test positive that first week or at the end of November, but might test positive the second week in December, will still be in Zoom. And I might be still in Zoom at the end of my tenure as president. But that's what we're gonna make a call on when we get to it. If the numbers are not high and we don't have cases amongst us, I can keep meeting inside the chamber. But I'm not gonna risk my life or anyone else's life or give anyone something that they can survive or maybe not survive or change after that. Because I have some friends that has had COVID and still are suffering from some of the symptoms of it over a year later. And so, you know, that's nothing that you want to deal with. I mean, that's just like having cancer, you know, and going through chemo and all that. So I just want to make sure that we don't expose no one up here, and we're not exposing the public is not exposing us, because I value my life and I value everyone that's up here life as well. Commissioner Carter, you back on?
Yeah, I just want to make a
Going
note.
backwards, or?
I just want to make a note, if I can.
Go ahead.
As an extension of what you just said, there was an article in the newspaper on Sunday indicating that's been a downward trend in Louisiana, but they did emphasize that their biggest concern still lies in North Louisiana because of the low vaccination rate. So just wanted to add that.
It is, and that's one of the reasons why at our National Night Out that we're co-sponsoring with, that we're offering the vaccination and the test to make sure that, you know, people stay safe. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next item is going to be citizens' comments, late arrivals.
Oh, we do have one.
And we have received one.
Marvin Muhammad.
My glasses got fogged, Mr. President. Give me a second.
I feel your pain.
It's been sprayed.
Okay, that's better. Marvin Muhammad. I'm gonna be very succinct. I'm gonna use the meat of my comments at the primary meeting on Thursday, because I want y'all to be able to digest the weightiness of my words then. But I did want to come and speak. I believe it's Ordinance 6103, I believe, or the North Caddo Economic Development District that is on the agenda. Historically, when different corporations have came to Caddo Parish, be it General Electric, General Motors, Libby Glass, they come, they receive a pallet, usually from the IDB on the board of which you gentlemen and lady so graciously appointed me to. Historically, what we have failed to do is when we have an introduction and emergence of these corporations to our parish, we have failed to create an ecosystem around those entities. And so after the tax rebatements, after the TIF, after whatever the corporation is to receive, after when they're now supposed to go back on the tax rolls, they then decide to leave. And because we haven't built up an ecosystem around that area, it leaves a gap. This TIF speaks directly to that. It allows us an opportunity to build up North Shreveport, North Caddo Parish. At the intersection of Highway 1 and Highway 538, and for those who are numerically challenged like myself, that is MLK and North Market, at the Brookshires, there in that strip mall, if you will, occupancy rate is about 50%. When you go south on North Market, which the TIF district would include, when you go up to Hearn, literally every 20 or 40 yards, you see literally blight. You see vacant businesses. So what we do know is that the state of Louisiana allows us to set a baseline by 3 methods, either by taking the last year tax revenue, or the last 2, or the last 3. So it's very critical that we establish that baseline, because as we know, there was a dip in revenue while we were struggling with COVID. What is very important, because I have seen a lot of writings on Facebook and some of the local periodicals or publications that talked about the pilot that Amazon received through the IDB. I can assure you that that pilot would not be jeopardized, that lease agreement would not be jeopardized, and this would just be something that would simply aid us. In conclusion, crime. I traveled on Uri Drive just last week, and I had 4 stops.
Ms. Muhammad, your time has expired.
1 minute, Mr.
Motion to
President, and I
extend.
conclude.
Got a motion to extend for an hour and pass by acclamation?
For a minute.
For a minute. Oh, my bad.
In an hour, I'll be trying to get some dinner, Mr. President.
Well, you being there by yourself in an hour. So
Yes, sir.
For a minute. Okay, go ahead.
I was out on Uri Drive, and I had 4 stops. 1 at Lowe's, 1 at Vision for Less, 1 at Regions, and 1 at Men's Warehouse. And I was literally able to complete those 4 tasks in under an hour. We cannot do that. Those citizens in North Shreveport and North Caddo Parish cannot do that on North Market or Highway 1. This TIF allows us to be able to grow that area, and more importantly, it stops retail leakage over and beyond, over to 220. We're talking about 500 employees the first year, that would then scale up to 1,000 the second year. But that's a lot of lunch. We want those dollars right here in Caddo Parish. I appreciate you, and I look forward for your vote this Thursday.
Okay, thank you. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next item is going to be the consent agenda, which I do want to just call your attention to real quickly, being that we have been meeting via teleconference the last few meetings. This consent agenda does have a number of items that were advanced to a regular session agenda, but maybe more than last week's set of items. So you may just want to review it a little bit extra to remind yourself of what items may be from a little further back. And after that, all we have is adjournment.
So, motion to adjourn?
I did.